Loans. He knows they have great medical, even free Donut Fridays. So he has nothing to worry about and everything to look forward to. Glassdoor. Find the job that fits your life. Go to Glassdoor.com or download the app today.
Howdy, folks. Colonel Sanders from KFC here with some real news. My delicious, world-famous original recipe fried chicken is available at a KFC near you. It has been and will be until the end of time. No matter what's happening in the world, you can trust that my original recipe chicken is always made with 11 herbs and spices. Many unnamed sources agree. It's delicious. Get it in a KFC $10 chicken share and enjoy it with a friend. KFC, it's still finger-licking good. Limited time offer at participating KFCs. Prices may vary. Tax and substitutions extra.
I'm Jay Farner from Quicken Loans. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.875%, APR 4.05%. But choosing the right mortgage lender means choosing much more than just a rate. Let me ask you, does calling the company with the best client service in America, with 11 J.D. Power Awards to prove it, matter? Does calling the company that invented Rocket Mortgage, the industry's most innovative, client-focused technology, matter? Does calling the company with 17,000-plus team members who are helping to rebuild the great cities of Detroit and Cleveland matter? Of course it matters. No wonder our clients have made Quicken Loans America's #1 online lender. Call Quicken Loans today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com for the best mortgage experience on earth. That's 800-QUICKEN.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Hey friends, Tom Hartman here to tell you about my brand new book. It's called The Tom Hartman Reader. Tom Hartman Reader is unlike any of my other books. It's a collection of my best and most revealing writings that I think you need to know. Tom Hartman Reader covers everything from my fierce commitment to Jeffersonian democracy to my steadfast opposition to the corporatization of America. Also, it more clearly identifies the root causes so many of our social and environmental ills. The Tom Hartman Reader will give you essential information and explore solutions to questions like, how do we keep our schools from treating children like assembly line products? Why is it that attention deficit disorder is not an affliction? Or what cloudy Germany can teach us about solar energy? And much, much more. Not only will you gain vital substance on a wide range of topics in the book, but the Tom Hartman Reader will inspire you to action. It's time to educate ourselves on the world around us, why it got this way, and the corrective actions we all need to take. The Tom Hartman Reader, available in fine bookstores everywhere and on our website at tomhartman.com. Makes a great gift, too. Inspiration, insight, and action. The Tom Hartman Reader. Hey, thanks so much for sharing our program and for reaching out to our stations and sponsors and letting them know that you're listening. It really means a lot to us. You know, it's no secret that some Valentine's gifts require basically no thought. You know, like flowers. The problem is your special someone knows they require no thought. I have two awesome gift suggestions that are not only super easy to order, but you'll get rave reviews for your thoughtfulness and taste. I'm talking about super soft and luxurious loungewear and pajamas from Cozy Earth, the brand featured on Oprah's Favorite Things 5 years in a row. Their popular bamboo pajama sets made from viscose from bamboo, for example, are super soft, stylish, and naturally temperature regulating, so she'll sleep more comfortably all night. And you can't go wrong with their bamboo joggers. They have all the coziness of pajamas that she can wear just about anywhere. Louise and I love Cozy Earth. You're golden with anything you order from Cozy Earth this Valentine's Day. And now save up to 35% on Cozy Earth loungewear, pajamas, bedding, bath towels, and more, all backed by a 10-year warranty. Just go to CozyEarth.com and enter my promo code TOM, T-H-O-M, for up to 35% off. That's CozyEarth.com, and the promo code is TOM, T-H-O-M, CozyEarth.com. And welcome back. 51 minutes past the hour, picking up your calls here. Deborah in Leland, North Carolina. Hey, Deborah, what's up?
Yes, Tom, I would like for you to share some stories, if you could, about the Black Eagle. I know you and Joe Madison were good friends. I would listen to you on his program on Urban View. Yeah. So he just transitioned on the 31st of this month, and you didn't hear a lot in the media about it, but I was hoping you can share some stories.
I did at the very beginning of the show, Deborah. And
oh, I didn't hear it. I was in school.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. You know, I talked about when Joe and Sherry and my son and I went to Darfur, or to the border of Darfur, South Sudan together. I talked about how Joe and Sherry and Louise and I used to get together on weekends in D.C. There's a a really cool, it's actually a gay bar, but they had a great weekend brunch, and we used to go there. Joe knew the owners, really, great people. They lived just right next to or nearby us. We lived in the water, and they lived in a condo. They kind of faced it, and I'm stunned, to have lost Joe. He was such a decent, such a genuinely good person.
I'm Amy Goodman. Over 1 million displaced Palestinians are under threat of a new ground assault on Gaza's southernmost city of Rafah after the Israeli military said it would attack the area once labeled a safe zone. The UN called Rafah, located on the border with Egypt, a, quote, pressure cooker of despair. The death toll in Gaza continues to rise, with over 27,000 people killed and more than 66,000 wounded in 4 months. Over 11,000 of those killed by Israel have been children. The Palestine Red Crescent Society is calling for the international community to intervene immediately to halt attacks on medical workers and to help find a 6-year-old girl, Hind, and 2 members of their emergency medical team, Yusuf Zaino and Ahmed Almadoun, who've been missing for nearly 4 days. Hind and her 15-year-old relative, Leanne Hamadeh, called the Red Crescent Monday, pleading for help as Israeli tanks approached their family's car in Gaza City. All 6 members of Hind's family were killed by Israeli fire, including Leanne. These were her last words, recorded on the call with a Red Crescent dispatcher.
Hello?
Hello, dear.
They are shooting at us.
Hello?
They are shooting at us. The tank is next to me.
Are you hiding?
Yes, in the car. We're next to the tank.
Are you inside the car?
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
After all her family members were killed, 6-year-old Hind remained trapped in the car as emergency workers tried to reach her. This is Rana Al-Faqih, the emergency dispatcher who spent several hours on the phone with Hind trying to reassure and calm the little girl.
It is a painful experience when you hear her voice, which was trembling, sad, and at the same time, she had hope that someone would save her. But we were helpless. We felt that we were paralyzed because we were thinking about the situation she was in. She was trapped inside a car with 6 bodies of martyrs, audio of tanks and aircraft firing. When the tank came close to her, she was screaming and crying. The worst minute was when she said the tank got closer and then the phone cut. At this moment, I thought the tank climbed on the car. At this moment, I started to cry, and I was trying to be strong.
President Biden signed an executive order Thursday imposing new sanctions on Israeli settlers involved in violent attacks on Palestinians in the occupied West Bank. At least 8 Palestinians, including 1 child, have been killed and over 100 injured in some 500 settler attacks since October 7th. The executive order for now targets just 4 settlers, but could be used against others in the future, including Israeli politicians. Biden officials reportedly considered adding the ultra-nationalist cabinet ministers Itamar Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich to the list, but decided against it. The Pentagon's approved a series of strikes against targets inside Iraq and Syria in response to the recent attack on a U.S. military base in northern Jordan that killed 3 U.S. soldiers and other attacks in the region. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said the U.S. is working to avoid a wider Middle East conflict and is not seeking war with Iran.
Our teammates were killed by radical militias backed by Iran and operating inside Syria and Iraq. In the aftermath of the vile Hamas terrorist assault on Israel on October 7th, terrorist groups backed by Iran and funded by Iran have tried to create even more turmoil, including the Houthis, attacking commercial shipping in the Red Sea. How much Iran knew or didn't know, we don't know, but it really doesn't matter because Iran sponsors these groups, it funds these groups.
Secretary Austin also apologized for the secrecy, what he called privacy, surrounding his recent hospitalization and prostate cancer diagnosis. Activists shut down at least half a dozen major roads in Washington, D.C. during Thursday morning rush hour and marched through the streets to demand an end to U.S. military support for Israel. Police arrested roughly 24 protesters.
More criminals in the building behind us need to stop funding genocide and funding our communities. We don't have health care. We don't have public education. People are dying on the streets while our government is sending $3.8 billion to genocide and kill doctors and students and teachers and babies in hospitals. There's a genocide going right now that our government is funding.
In Canada, activists blockaded all access points for the port of Vancouver, calling on the government to enact an arms embargo on Israel following the International Court of Justice ruling last week that there's a plausible risk Israel's committing genocide in Gaza. Meanwhile, over 800 officials across the United States, the UK and European Union released a joint letter of dissent today saying, quote, our government's current policies weaken their moral standing and undermine their ability to stand up for freedom, justice and human rights globally.
Mary had a little man. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America. From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream.
Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
We now have, in large part because of you and organized labor, the strongest economy in the whole damn world. We do. We do. In the whole world. Inflation's coming down. Jobs are growing. We created 800,000 manufacturing jobs. Remember they told us we were dead, manufacturing's dead in America? China was going to eat our lunch? Well, guess what, man? We don't taste that good.
Okay, everybody, it's Groundhog Day. And today would be a very good day to repeat over and over again because we have this this unbelievable jobs report. We've got an unbelievable, 3.7% unemployment. We've got a manufacturing boom. We've got the best economy in the freaking world. Let's do this day every single stinking day. What do you say? Wouldn't it be better than like the stress of Thanksgiving every single day or election day? Or January 6th. Oh, I'm so glad that day we don't do over and over again. Or do we? I don't know. But so much happened this week. I mean, just this week alone. Of course, Punxsutawney Phil. Who? Gobbler's, what's it called? Gobbler's Nook? Gobbler's Knob? I hate saying that. Oh, gross. Just, wow. How dare ye? Gobbler's Knob. Yes, that is where Punxsutawney Phil, who used to be a badger in pagan lore, but is now a groundhog, actually begins his day with I've Got You, Babe on autoplay, on repeat. Just put it on shuffle and you have no movie, but okay. So just saying that he did not see his shadow. Have you seen this critter? I don't think he can see past his third chin, but okay, he hasn't seen his shadow. Didn't see it this morning. And so the person, I swear to God, that translates, it's going to be way too much information about Punxsutawney and about Groundhog Day, but I think you need to know. I do. So he used to be in pagan and Christian lore. He used to be a badger, but I think Wisconsin has cornered the market on badgers, so they had to switch him out for a groundhog. And he only speaks, and it is the same groundhog that has been Phil since 18. I think it's 1887. It's the same one. It's the same one. He's magical, you know. And so, and he speaks in groundhog-ese to the guy at the Gobbler's Knob. Oh, God. And tells him whether or not he has seen his shadow. And today he has said, no, he does not, which means early spring, everybody. Early spring. Yay. 138-year-old groundhog has predicted the weather almost as good as the GOP does. Almost as succinctly and almost as accurately. No, is he right? No, he's not. What's his average? 36 to 39% of the time he gets it right. So not a fabulous batting average there. No, not really great. But we lost 10 years because no records were kept. Do with that what you will. But it's a good day to repeat. It would be a great day to repeat because, you know, when you look at the other days, let's say just this week, not such great days, not such good ones. And then you look a little bit back in history and, you know, you think of, can you imagine if we had to relive shock and awe every freaking day?
I don't think we have to dump that. And by the way, quick fun fact. Yeah. There's interesting fan theory that Ned Ryerson is the devil. And because of the way he interacted with him, he's the one who cursed him to repeat the day. Check that out. Google that if you guys are interested in the movie.
It's the movie.
Yeah, Groundhog's Day, the movie. It's a fun fan theory.
Oh, my God. All right, so he's almost always wrong, and he has predicted an early spring. So I guess maybe he's like right up there in accuracy with like Morning Consult polling. Who, you know, and so if Punxsutawney Phil actually predicted something in politics, I think he would say Trump wins. Just because that's what Morning Consult, you know. And yesterday, just in case you missed it, this was really valuable information I put in yesterday's homework. And I have this very sick feeling that most of you are not reading it because when you call me, you're way, way, way off of anything. And there's a plethora of material. There's a ton of topics in every day's homework section at randyrhodes.com, which is completely and totally free. Totally free, but it does give you a clue like what's on our mind today, you know? So I get this feeling that people are not looking at it. They're not reading it. I know that you get it because I can see how many deliveries I make. And it's like 6 to 10,000, people get this thing. And we got a good open rate. So I know people are like, but you're not calling. I don't know. So it's interesting because yesterday in the homework was a section called, it was just one thing, but it was called Know Your Poll. Speaking of Gobbler's Knob, and weren't we just? It was called Know Your Poll, and it actually rated like the reliability of various polls that you're going to hear now very often invoked as being proof of something. Well, polls are not proof of anything. That's number one. Number two, some of them are really putrid, and Morning Consult is one of those putrid ones. And that's why I'm saying Punxsutawney ought to go to work for them because his accuracy and theirs is about the same. So interesting. Okay, but things are going well today. Things are going really well today. We got this insanely good jobs report, okay?
In breaking news here, the latest jobs report shows the economy added 353,000 jobs last month. The unemployment rate remaining steady at 3.7%. Joining us to break down those numbers, CNN anchor and business correspondent Rahel Solomon. This isn't just good. This is really good and beating expectations.
Yeah, this is a stunningly good report, a hot report. So expectations, Erica, were closer to 176,500, let's call it. So this is twice what Wall Street was expecting. As you pointed out, the unemployment rate remained at 3.7%, third month in a row. We've been in this really tight range of unemployment under 4% for at least 2 years now. When you look at the industries where we added jobs in January, this was what was really interesting to me. So professional and business services, really, I think the bulk of it here, adding 74,000 jobs in January. If you compare that to 2023, we added about 14,000 jobs per month. So you think professional and business services, think sort of white collar jobs, accounting, for example, healthcare. That's a continuation of what we saw last year. Healthcare adding 70,000, retail adding 45,000. As Phil laid out quite nicely there, this is a really important year, both politically and economically. And so this is the first jobs report. So a lot of eyes are going to be watching this both on Wall Street, both on Main Street and Washington. And what it shows is that it's an economy that continues to hum. When expectations were that we would be in a recession in 2023 or the labor market would start to cool in a significant way, it hasn't happened.
Did she say the economy continues to hum or hump? I think it depends on who you ask. There is a perception gap. You understand this? I mean, when I look at like what people think is going on in the economy, what they think, that's because they get their news off of social media, or they get their news off of Fox News or OAN or Newsmax or any of those lunatic fringy places that are very busy doing absolutely nothing to educate the American people about the situation in which they find themselves so they can orient themselves in, whether or not to buy a house now, whether or not to spend money now, whether or not to do, their renos or, to move on up into a deluxe apartment in the sky. Do you know what I'm saying? All they talked about this week was, how trash Taylor is. She's just trash. Now, you know damn well if she was wearing a MAGA hat, she'd be like the best thing since sliced bread. But there is a perception gap about this economy, and it sort of kind of goes along party lines. Who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk that? It's really sad. It's really sick because we have a really good economy. This is like pre-pandemic better. It is. It's better than it was pre-pandemic. And yet people are going, I blame Biden. I blame him. What are you blaming him for? Everything. But the economy is good. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. No, it's not. What? This is the loop.
Clear for takeoff.
Randi Rhodes.
The Bob Cesca Show.
Bob Cesca.
The United States has the best economy in the world. We're #1. Thank you, Joe Biden. The GDP growth among the G7 nations, the United States is #1 with plus 2.5% GDP growth. Second, a distant second, is Japan, plus 1.9%. Canada, 1.1%. France, 0.8%. Italy and UK, Germany. Germany is still in recessionary territory, just very, very slightly. You can directly attribute these numbers to the Joe Biden record on the economy, the competent stewardship of the economy. This is all a direct result of the bipartisan infrastructure bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, the CHIPS Act. All of these things are contributing to a booming economy, which might be why Republicans are going completely ape about Taylor Swift and the border.
I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
they're mad because she's getting people registered to vote.
Right. What was the number? She registered an enormous number of people.
35,000 people after one tweet. They all went and registered. And that's a
Ooh.
bad thing, apparently. So that tells you everything you need to know. They don't want people voting.
Exactly. The delicious thing about the fact that the Republicans have to go, hey, well, this is all about Taylor Swift now. This is a psyop, or whatever the hell they're saying.
Yeah.
It's remarkable because they can't talk about the one thing that they thought they were going to be able to talk about this year,
Right.
which is the Biden economy. And it turns out Joe Biden's successes have stripped that away from them. So now they got to go full conspiracy theory, full fear-mongering about the border, and that's all they're left with.
Bob Cesca.
It's the Bob Cesca Show. New episodes every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, everywhere you get your podcasts, and at bobcescashow.com.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1848. That was the day the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo was signed. It signaled the end of the Mexican-American War. The war began in May of 1846 when the United States sought to expand its annexation of Texas. It immediately became a partisan issue between pro- and anti-slavery forces. Southern Democrats and slave plantation owners favored war with Mexico. They hoped to undercut rising Northern industrial power with the expansion of slave territory. Whigs and Northern abolitionists opposed the war for the same reasons. After almost 2 years of fighting, the war ended. In exchange for $15 million, the United States gained 525,000 square miles of land. This territory included all or parts of Arizona, California, Colorado, Nevada, New Mexico, Utah, and Wyoming. Mexico gave up all claims to Texas, and the Rio Grande was established as the border. The initial treaty promised protection of land, civil rights, and full citizenship for those Mexicans who stayed on the newly acquired territory. These guarantees were deleted from the final ratification. Expansionist aims reignited debates about the extension of slavery. The newly formed Free Soil Party gained traction with its campaign to limit, localize, and discourage slavery. Their banner read, "Free soil, free speech, free labor, and free men." Antagonisms were briefly tempered with the Compromise of 1850. This allowed California to be admitted as a free state. It also prevented the outlawing of slavery in the new territories. The slave trade was banned in the District of Columbia, but a new and more stringent fugitive slave law was enacted. Debates regarding expansion of slavery would rage on throughout the 1850s, culminating in the Civil War.
Don't give up.
All things Randy at RandyRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
Buy a stinking podcast.
President Biden gearing up for a likely rematch with Donald Trump, making a direct appeal to union workers in battleground Michigan.
We now have, in large part because of you and organized labor, the strongest economy in the whole damn world. Oh!
Outside the event, dozens protesting Biden's support for Israel. Biden barely won Michigan in 2020, and polling shows him trailing Trump by several points in the state.
The bad border deal would be worse than no deal at all.
Trump is making immigration central to his campaign. Now he's pushing congressional Republicans to kill an emerging bipartisan deal to address the border.
What?
The text of that deal hasn't even been released yet. Still, many House Republicans say they'll vote against it. Congressman Troy now says he doesn't want to do anything to help Biden's approval ratings.
It's really not about border security. It's about trying to improve Joe's 33% approval rating.
What? You don't even need to see it. You're a hard no.
I'm a hard no.
The president on Capitol Hill earlier that day remaining optimistic.
Mr. President, some House Republicans are calling the border deal a non-starter. Can you get it done?
Mr. President, are you doing enough to turn around?
And it's not just immigration. After the House passed a bipartisan tax bill, Republican Senator Chuck Grassley warned it would make Biden look good in an election year.
Passing a tax bill that makes the president look good, mailing out checks before the election, means that he could be reelected.
All of it prompting frustration on both sides of the aisle.
They're saying the quiet part out loud, that we're focused on the next election.
How much does politics impact this in an election year? Between this?
Impacts everything. My goodness, you can't get a resolution recognizing motherhood and apple pie without having politics come into it.
Okay, Senator Tom, very cute. It's all foghorn leghorn stuff once you get below the Mason-Dixon line, ain't it? Ain't it? But wow, this is amazing. So the moral turpitude clause in the president's oath is broken. Apparently, they were screaming, crisis, crisis. It's a national security issue at the border, and they're going to kill the the immigration bill, which, by the way, goes a very, very long way to solving the problem. The stuff that's in there is really important and really good, and it isn't 5,000 entries closes the border, which is the big lie that's now being perpetrated throughout the GOP. That lie and that the economy sucks. Those are the two big lies. Why? Because if you tell the American people, if you tell Republicans, let's just not mince words, okay? If you tell Republicans that this economy is so good that the Fed chief, the chairman of the Fed, okay, Jerome Powell, had to admit, and remember, he's a Trump appointee, Jerome Powell, right? This is not a Biden dude. And he said, no, I got to admit, the economy is pretty good.
How to describe where we are. So I guess I would just say this. Executive summary would be that growth is solid to strong over the course of last year. The labor market, 3.7% unemployment indicates that the labor market is strong. We've had just about 2 years now of unemployment under 4%. That hasn't happened in 50 years.
50.
So it's a good labor market. And we've seen inflation come down. We've talked about that. So we've got 6 months of good inflation data and an expectation that there's more to come. So this is a good situation. Let's be honest. This is a good economy.
Have you ever heard a perky Fed chair like that? No, you never hear Fed chairs be perky. Ever, never. Okay? Because apparently they can move markets with a smile. They're Mary Tyler Moore. He can turn the world on with a smile. He can take a nothing day and suddenly make it seem worthwhile. Well, it's you, boy, and you should know it. I mean, this is so bizarre. Chris Hayes characterized Jerome Powell's sunny optimism there as practically twerking. Because you don't hear Fed chairs get all emotional about, economies. They like to tinker with it. They're at the Fed, They like to play with the interest rates. They like to, help, tamp down problems or, elevate, the goodness. And they want the credit for it. And, it's the legislation. It's the Biden policies that actually went a very long way to giving us an economic boom. This is the Biden boom, I mean, it's like Hakeem Jeffrey said that, FDR had the New Deal, and then we had, the Square Deal. I guess it was Harry Truman had a Square Deal. And now this economy, the Biden boom, is a big deal. And it is. It's huge. But Republicans who get their news off of, sad sack news, social media or whatever it is, they think things suck. They really do. They think things are bad. They also think that Lankford, James Lankford, who is he is a former Oklahoma Baptist pastor. I don't think it gets any more conservative than that. Do you? I do not. And James Lankford, along with Kirsten Sinema, have crafted this border bill. And this bill actually has in it everything and anything that Republicans would want it to have. And so they must distort it. And they have to lie about it. And they have to cheat you out of what would be success managing our border. This bill has just about every tool in the toolbox. And Biden says, I'll sign it. Send it to me. And they're like, oh, snap. Can't do that. But this bipartisan border deal does not allow 5,000 illegal crossings a day before it shuts down the border, the way that they are characterizing James Lankford's conservatism as, allowing for. No, not at all, not even close. First of all, 5,000 encounters, and I keep on telling you this, because the way that it gets reported, it's almost breathless, right? It's almost breathless. And they'll say 5,000, encounters at the border and insinuate that was crossing. Crossing and encounters are not the same thing, okay? This is not after 5,000 people break the law, which is what Mike Johnson has said and characterized this bill as being, and why he says it's dead on arrival. This is a House Speaker who hasn't even seen the text. Kirsten Sinema just announced today that the text will be made available, and it is coming, and that please do read it before you mischaracterize it yet again. It's not 5,000 people. What it does is it ends catch and release. So what's catch and release? That means you did cross over and you got caught. So you do that on purpose. Some people do that on purpose. Why? They want to make an asylum claim. And catch and release says that once we catch you and you make a claim for asylum, we release you pending a court date. This ends that. This actually says we catch you, you make a claim of asylum, and by the way, we raise the definition of what qualifies for asylum on top of this, but then you go to detention, and your asylum claim is heard while you're in detention. You should be for that. And if your claim is rejected, you get deported. You are removed. If your claim is accepted, you get 90 days to go before a judge and get a hearing. 90 days, not 6 years.
RandiRhodes.com.
The lawyer from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yes.
Can you imagine if primary, just the uproar on the right, like look at all of these criminals. If it had been like people arrested for, at Black Lives Matter protests or something like that, if they'd raised their hands and everyone cheered, it would be nonstop news about
I would try to
how terrible Democrats are.
Yeah. In our Democratic debate, I would try to lie and get away with it and say I'd not been arrested, and then these two would out me immediately that I was.
You were?
When I was at USC.
For drinking grasshoppers.
No, I was underage to minor and underage in possession of a light beer. Okay.
Wait, you got arrested for underage drinking?
No, just possession. I bought it from my college roommate, Laura Paris.
That's what I got arrested for in college, too.
So
minor
you
possession of alcohol.
That means Jody gets Adam Schiff's seat by...
yeah, by default.
I've never been arrested, so...
Wow.
Get busy.
I tried.
Okay. Hear all this and more on the next Stephanie Miller Show.
What was the cause of the United States Civil War?
Well, don't come with an easy question. I mean, I think the cause of the Civil War was basically how government was going to run, the freedoms and what people could and couldn't do.
I say it's freedom of many things. When people proudly had their Confederate flags, they're not talking about racism. They love their flag. It represents the South.
I knew half of South Carolinians saw the Confederate flag as heritage and tradition. What do you want me to say about slavery? Next question.
Farming can be a deeply satisfying life. You're connected directly to nature, you are your own boss, and you do work that's real, benefiting humanity. But then there are the pests, such as invasive bugs, monopolistic profiteers, and a new, exceptionally destructive plague, billionaires. Yes, flocks of predatory ultra-billionaires wanting not just to gouge farmers, but to take away their farms. The crassest example of this land grab is happening now in Solano County, California, a bucolic agricultural area just north of San Francisco. A gaggle of narcissistic Silicon Valley tech titans with maximum bank accounts and minimal ethics has arrogantly and surreptitiously been spending nearly $1 billion in an investment hustle to buy out.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
It is your state that is home to the governor, who has essentially dared the federal government to come down and enforce federal border policy. So it is portrayed, I just want you to confirm, as an absolute urgent crisis, no?
Oh, absolutely. It's an invasion, Joy. It's an invasion, honey. So, yeah, we know that this is what they're saying out loud, but this is because people such as Chip Roy have made it very clear that they have nothing to campaign on. And so, therefore, they have found that this is their chance. They're able to use Democratic governors and Democratic mayors to say, listen, everybody agrees, even the Democrats, right? And so here it is. We could have a solution, but we know that solutions is not what they want. All they want is rhetoric so that they can campaign.
And, you know, Stuart, now you have Donald Trump saying, hey, blame me. Like, he wants the blame. He wants the credit, I guess you could call it, on the Republican side for killing a deal. And Republicans have responded in Oklahoma by literally censuring Senator Langford for doing nothing other than working on this bill. Your thoughts?
Yeah, this is not a serious party. And, you know, what gets lost in all of this is sort of the scope of the human tragedy that's involved both on the border and in Ukraine. I mean, it's not an exaggeration that people are dying every hour because of this. It's not some theoretical game. It's not like debating the law of the sea treaty that's going to go into effect 20 years from now. This is like real stuff. And this is actually why you have a government, and you elect people to make tough decisions. And, we have this massive budget. We have the largest military combined to the next non-largest military budgets in the world. We can afford to do both. This is a false charge, a false choice. And it's just really extraordinary for a lot of us who worked in the Republican Party to see what is de facto aiding and abetting Vladimir Putin winning the largest land war in Europe since World War II.
True that. It is really sad because, like I said, the border actually involves human beings. Ukraine and funding for it actually involves human beings. A two-state solution in the Palestinian territory involves, money. Okay, it's just the way things are. It's just the way things go. Now, the United States State Department, and you would never know this from, the breathless reporting that's going on about, Biden went to Michigan, but he didn't go to Dearborn, which I think is a mistake. I do. I think he should have gone to Dearborn. I think he needs to talk to the people who are of Arabic descent or Palestinian immigrants or whatever their Arab or Muslim background is in Dearborn, and he needs to explain to them that he is actually using the awesome power of the United States State Department and Anthony Blinken, who has done an enormous diplomatic heavy lift, over in Israel to try and convince them not to be stupid. But they just, Netanyahu is very convinced he wants to be stupid. And he wants, to make it so that another 50 years of hatred exists in the world, in that region, in that tiny little spot. And Biden, on the other hand, is using the United States State Department, a place that he can affect some sort of change, to help and move forward the Palestinian sovereignty in a two-state solution scenario. And this goes against everything Netanyahu stands for, which is great because the Israelis have had it with him. Okay, they really, really don't like him as much as I don't, which is saying a lot right now because he's a wartime president and they know he's dangerous. They know he's bad. They know what he's doing is going to be revisited on them exponentially. And they don't want to see it. They don't want, so that never gets reported. But, what Biden was able to do yesterday, I guess it was, he put sanctions on 4 individuals. Like, you could name them. Okay, and if you use the homework today, you will know their names. They won't mean anything to you, but their names are listed at RandiRhodes.com in the homework section. The West Bank sanctions Israeli settlers. In that article are their names. But he sanctioned these people who go into, see, like I said, most Americans, just let's call it like we see it, don't know the difference between the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. They don't understand that there's 2 different places separated by Israel in the middle. They also don't understand 2 different kinds of governments, right? The Palestinian Authority in the West Bank and a terrorist organization that is sponsored and supported and armed and dangerous because Iran makes that happen. Iran. Don't you understand that all this is Iran doing it? Don't you get it? You know, when Iran and Iraq were fighting each other for like 8 long years, we got very lucky. We got very, very lucky. It was a fortunate thing for us that Iran was very busy fighting Saddam Hussein in Iraq. Why? Because Saddam was Sunni and Iran had gone, full throttle theocracy, Shia, and they went at it. And that was like really good for us. And then we had an idiot Republican president who said, hey, let's attack Iraq. And we've been paying for it ever freaking since. And now people in the Gaza Strip are paying for it. They're paying for Iran's elevation on the world stage. The people in Yemen, they're fighting the Saudis. That's a Sunni Shia thing. I can't explain it to you, any more simply than that. And I've been explaining it to you forever. But you have a president who is literally trying his very level best to get a crazy, uber, right-wing, extremist prime minister in Israel to back the F off. Call it a day. And Netanyahu, he will never allow for a 2-state solution. Never, ever, never, ever. So Biden has gone ahead and tasked the State Department with sanctioning people in the West Bank Now, the West Bank is not the Gaza Strip. The West Bank, the people that are in the West Bank that are doing bad things in the West Bank are Israeli extremists. Think of them like, I could say Proud Boys, but they're more like Oath Keepers. Do you know what I'm saying? They're more like, they're more like that. They're more like nationalists, extremist nationalists, like I want to say the Oath Keepers. I mean, that's the kind of sentiment that the settlers have. They're very like Eamon Bundy, like that. Standoffs and intimidation and guns involved and all this swill. Okay. And they go into the West Bank and they threaten, they intimidate the Bedouins who are just, living their lives, farming their little piece of sand, trying to grow an olive. Do you know what I mean? They're not doing anything bad. And the extremists go in there and they intimidate, and sometimes they actually murder innocent Palestinians living in the West Bank. So Biden has sanctioned them by name. Jake Sullivan said about this West Bank violence, he said, this violence poses a grave threat to peace, security, and stability in the West Bank, Israel, and in the Middle East as a region. It threatens the national security and foreign policy interests of the United States. So he's leveling sanctions against the individuals that literally go in there and do violence against people to force them out of their homes is what it is, so that they can then take over their homes and settle them. That's what settler means. It's a really evil thing. And still, Biden's getting protested. He should go and talk.
Clear for takeoff. Randi Rhodes. RandiRhodes.com.
Decades of leadership, a lifetime of experience, and rock-solid determination to rebuild America. Joe Biden's plan for America's economic comeback is working. The highest job growth in the world. Inflation coming down faster than any other major nation. The prices families pay for everything from gas to groceries falling fast. Hope and optimism coming back. His tireless work to build a stronger America means we're respected again. And a respected America is a safer America. Joe Biden's years have taught him leadership, wisdom, toughness, how to ignore the noise and focus on the people. He's a president for every American, making the hard decisions with compassion, heart, and respect. That's Joe Biden, America's president. Something is happening in American politics. For decades, Republicans called themselves the party of strength in foreign policy. Today, the Republican Party attacks our military.
Some of the dumbest people I've ever met in my life.
And cozies up to our enemies.
Hezbollah is very smart. They're all very smart.
Republican senators are blocking key military appointments, making America less safe.
This sweeping hold is undermining America's military readiness.
Republicans are helping Vladimir Putin by calling for the end of military aid to the brave Ukrainians.
Under Republican, not another penny will go to Ukraine.
Today, President Joe Biden is the voice of a strong America.
Let there be no doubt, the United States has Israel's back.
This is an American president.
We cannot and will not let terrorists like Hamas, tyrants like Putin win.
President Joe Biden, America's president.
Hey, Donald, we noticed something. More and more people are saying it. You're weak. You seem unsteady. You need help getting around. And wow.
Really an ominous country, and you deserve.
Are you sure you don't have dementia? It runs in the family. Have you had a real doctor check you out? You keep confusing things.
And we did with Obama. We won an election.
Getting the facts wrong.
We just left pleasure for paradise.
People laugh about it, about you, even your own people behind your back. You're winning the primary, but losing your power, your strength, your manhood. Face it, Donald. You're just projecting when you call Joe Biden old. He's stronger than you, fitter than you, smarter than you, a better man and a better president. Anyone can see it. And when you lay there at night, alone, you know we're right. You're falling apart, Donald, breaking down, right in front of our eyes.
God bless the United States.
He says, you're not going to be a dictator, are you? I said, no, other than day one. Like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
You can do anything. Grab him by the pussy.
He's not a war hero. I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voting. Very fine people, on both sides.
I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
I am your retribution. I am your retribution.
Whether you're listening to Leslie Marshall each Tuesday through Friday or Brad Bannon each Monday, you can hear them from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern on the Progressive Voices Network. Here's a sample of what you'll hear.
Scott Paul, he's president of the Alliance for American Manufacturing.
While it may have been not a great year for manufacturing jobs, it was a boom year for the construction of new manufacturing facilities, factories, happening all over the country. And, in clean energy, like solar, in new automobiles, like EVs, battery factories, in semiconductors, and related to infrastructure spending. And so all of this is happening in every state around the country. And those jobs right now, they're construction jobs, right? Because they're building the factories, but once they go online, they're all going to be hiring. And there will be...
Don't give up. Don't give up. What's true?
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Buy a stinking podcast.
A landmark vote on immigration could finally be in sight. After months of battling on Capitol Hill, Democratic leader Chuck Schumer will force a vote on Monday.
We cannot simply shirk from our responsibilities just because a task is difficult.
As record numbers of migrants have been crossing the southern border, overwhelming authorities, President Biden has pushed for more action to combat the crisis. A bipartisan deal coming into shape in recent weeks. But former President Trump and his allies have been trying to undermine it, arguing it would give Biden a win in an election year.
If the bill's not going to be a great bill and really solve the problem, I wouldn't do it at all.
It is a great bill. It would go a very long way. I mean, they're never going to have zero, okay? It's never going to be zero people trying to get to freedom. You know, the whole pull for this country, the whole reason why people want to come here is, it's called freedom, opportunity, economics, jobs, sending money home to their impoverished families. Now, that is not a reason to claim asylum, but it is the pull. It is the reason why people want to come here. So unless you want to tank our economy the way he did, unless you want to see a global pandemic, force us to close the border the way he did, then you need a different solve. You need a different solution to a difficult problem. And this particular bill goes a very long way. Some of the things that are in it are known, and a lot of it is being lied about. This idea of 5,000 a day. I told you, first of all, it was never 5,000 a day. It was 5,000 a week. Was it entries? No. So it was not 5,000 entries a day? No. Was it 5,000 entries a week? No. It was 5,000 encounters. Encounters. Meaning Border Patrol was feeling overwhelmed. Now, if you had according to what I know about this bill, if you have 4,000 encounters, definitely not crossings. We're not talking about people coming in here illegally to the tune of 4,000 a day or 4,000 a week even, okay, to trigger something. What we're saying is if Border Patrol has 4,000 encounters in a 7-day period, in a week, then DHS, the Department of Homeland Security has the authority to shut down the border. Meaning it doesn't have to listen to anybody's asylum claims. It doesn't have to do anything about people who want to come and make asylum claims. It can just remove them. If there are 5,000 encounters in a 7-day period, then the shutting down of those illegal in-between crossings is mandatory. That's one of the things it does. The other thing it does is it raises the bar for what qualifies as a legitimate claim of asylum. The third thing it does is it says that if you come and you are, the border is operating and the Border Patrol are intercepting people, and you're here and they arrest you and you make a claim of asylum, your asylum claim will be heard while you are in detention. And if your claim is not accepted by just somebody that knows what is an acceptable asylum claim, then you are removed immediately. If your claim if they say your claim is legitimate, you get to move not out of detention, but you get held in detention for an additional 90 days. Or you are placed under government supervision for 90 days, at which point you can actually speak at a hearing where a judge is present. And you can make your claim for asylum if the initial interview deemed that your claim was legit. Meaning you would die if you went back home because somebody would kill you or kill your children or kill your wife or whatever it is, okay? But you are at the whole time, the whole experience that I'm talking about now is under government supervision. Nobody is released into the interior, okay, which is really what the law allows for now. Therein lies a huge dilemma. If you are then deemed legitimate in your claim for asylum after the hearing, then you get to stay in America for an additional 90 days, okay? And you get a work authorization so you can work during those 90 days. And then once your case is adjudicated for real, meaning, a decision has been made by a judge. If it's no, you go home. And if it's yes, then you are on a path to citizenship, which typically takes about 20 years. What's not included in this is a demand that the Democrats have had forever. It's not in this bill, which is why you will find Democrats who are against this bill. There is no mention of, also no penalty for, the Dreamers. Now, the Dreamers are people who came here as children and stayed here as children and did nothing to violate our law at all on any level, not even a scofflaw, not even a jaywalker. None of that, it would be acceptable to remain as a DACA recipient, okay, as somebody who is protected from deportation under DACA. But there is no path to citizenship currently for any DACA recipients. There just isn't. There is no procedure to follow. There's no time that is allotted. There's no, all we know is that if you want to remain protected from deportation as a DACA recipient, you cannot have broken the law and you must be in school. That's it. But there's no reward at the end of the rainbow. And Democrats want that. It's not in this bill. Nothing to do with DACA is in this bill. And still, we're willing to see our moral authority through. We're willing to say, yes, there's a problem at the border. It gets very overwhelmed. We would like to do something to underwhelm it. We would like to do something to solve that issue, solve that problem, something that would go a very long way to stopping people being released into the interior and that we don't know where they are, to stop people from, making claims of asylum that aren't legitimate because they know that they'll be allowed to stay in the United States, sometimes for a year or two, sometimes for 6 years, sometimes more. And the Republicans hate it because it's a win for Joe Biden, because it's a win for the country, because it's a win for the border, because it's a win for national security. And they can't have that happen on a Democrat's watch when the economy is so stinking great. Because they're losing the issue. The number 1 and 2 issues, according to, the pollsters, in these United States, and I don't care if it's like, very, very uber right New Hampshire or Iowa, they're telling us that their number 1 issue is the economy and their number 2 issue is immigration. And I'm finding that hard. Hard to take, hard to believe. But if it's true and the economy is booming and we actually get an immigration package that, goes a very, very long way to helping the border be managed in a sane, normal way, what are they going to campaign on? Oh, we passed, we took away the right of women to choose? That's what they're going to campaign on? Oh, yeah, we're the party that takes rights away from half the population? No. They have nothing. And everybody knows that. Well, not everybody, but people who want to know it, know it. People who don't want to know it, don't know it, because if they knew it, they would not be able, their brains would explode. Their brains are exploding now because their beloved NFL with their military flyovers is going to include a woman who is like the most popular celebrity in the world right now, not wearing a MAGA hat. And they can't have it. This is just unconscionable. I mean, when Colin Kaepernick, kneeled, they were able to manipulate your feelings for the NFL in a big stinking way. You know why? Because Colin Kaepernick was not Taylor Swift. Colin Kaepernick was popular with people who watch football. Now, the Super Bowl is watched by people who don't give a rat's ass about football. It's just, and I'm glad it is. I'm not complaining about that fact. I like it because it gives us an opportunity to share an experience. Everybody watches for the commercials. Everybody watches for the national anthem. Nobody really cares who wins the game, okay? The people wander on in just for the hors d'oeuvres, just for the apps, just for the appetizers. And I don't mean apps like on your phone. People like the shared experience, and we don't have any more of them. This is like the last you know who said this too? Bob Costa. Yep. This morning. That's exactly what he said. So one of the last shared experiences we had.
Clear for takeoff. Randi Rhodes. Randi Rhodes. Randi Rhodes. RandiRhodes.com.
911, what's your emergency?
America's healthcare system is broken and people are dying.
Welcome to Code WAC, where we shine a light on America's callous healthcare system, how it hurts us, and what we can do about it. I'm your host, Brenda Gazzar. This time on Code WAC, more than 3,000 people died of drug overdoses in Los Angeles County alone in 2022. And last October, Hollywood actor Matthew Perry of Friends fame became one of the latest overdose victims when he accidentally died of acute effects of ketamine at his Los Angeles home. Perry's story reminds us that no one is immune to drug overdoses. But who is most vulnerable in LA County, and what can be done about it? To find out, we spoke to Nyabingi Kuti, director of the LA Harm Reduction Network, which aims to expand and enhance access to substance use disorder treatment for LA County and especially Skid Row. So you've said in the past that Black residents on Skid Row are facing a humanitarian crisis related to substance use disorder. What are you seeing and hearing from these residents?
Well, what I'm hearing is a lack of residential beds there and the issue of quality of treatment that I mentioned. Many people that have died from overdoses have been in treatment multiple times. You know, if you listen to people like Perry and other celebrities that have overdosed and died, they've been in treatment before. And sometimes over 10 times. So that makes you wonder, well, why isn't treatment working?
Get the full Code WAC story on progressivevoices.com and on the PV app. Catch all our episodes by subscribing to Code WAC, wherever you find your podcasts. This podcast is powered by Heal California, a nonprofit that uplifts the voices of those fighting for healthcare reform around the country. Until next time, stay healthy.
Now, the top of the hour on the Progressive Voices channel on TuneIn presents the Green News Report.
Aramco, the largest oil company in the world, will cut its planned maximum sustainable oil production capacity.
Saudi Arabia ditches plans to expand oil production. Millions of Americans at risk of dangerous chemical train derailments, new study finds. Plus,
and the new rules are all about saving money.
Biden Energy Department issues new efficiency rules for gas stoves.
All of those new rules and more straight ahead from BradBlog.com. I'm Brad Friedman.
And I'm Desi Doyen.
Stand by for 6 minutes of independent green news, politics, analysis, and snarky comment.
Joe Biden's climate change agenda now targeting your kitchen.
Biden's coming for your gas stove. A ban on your gas stove.
Ban gas-powered stoves.
The White House is now attempting to ban all gas ovens.
Turns out, not so much. Thanks anyway, Fox News. This is your Green News Report. Okay, Desi Doyen, I'm very disappointed that Joe Biden isn't coming over to haul my old stove away.
By himself.
Exactly. That said, sort of big news in that John Podesta will be replacing John Kerry as the new special envoy for climate for Joe Biden?
Yes, it is a big deal. John Podesta has a very long and very good reputation for working on climate action.
Well, that's good. What else you got for us today?
Well, first, big news for global oil markets. Saudi Arabia has ordered its state-owned oil company, Aramco, one of the biggest petroleum producers in the world, to ditch plans to increase production and instead maintain cuts that it instituted last year to boost global oil prices.
Well, knock me over with a feather in an election year. Go figure.
The lack of an explanation for the surprise reversal has fueled speculation that it is potentially a sign that the Saudi kingdom has grown more pessimistic about the outlook for oil demand worldwide as the global transition toward decarbonization progresses, undermining long-term investment in fossil fuel projects. Some pundits have also suggested a political angle in that tightening supply now could boost retail gas prices on U.S. consumers in a critical election year.
Yeah, there you go.
As we go to air, President Biden is set to visit East Palestine, Ohio, to mark the one-year anniversary of the catastrophic toxic train derailment that spilled massive amounts of the combustible carcinogenic chemical vinyl chloride, which was then incinerated by emergency responders to avert a wider explosion, in turn unleashing long-term health and environmental impacts for the community.
Nailed it.
The Washington Post reports that the Biden administration continues to send a steady stream of funding and resources to East Palestine and is enforcing the cleanup by Norfolk Southern, the rail company that is responsible. And the EPA has launched a formal reevaluation of the risks of vinyl chloride. But a new analysis of rail shipment routes released this week shows that more than 3 million Americans at any given moment are routinely and unknowingly at risk from trains carrying dangerous vinyl chloride between Texas and New Jersey. The report from nonprofit environmental health group Toxic Free Future details the communities at risk and calls for banning transport of vinyl chloride by rail and eventually a total phase-out of the toxic chemical.
How much you want to bet Republicans are against it?
Well, they already blocked rail safety reform 6 months ago.
There you go.
In other news, this week, the Department of Energy unveiled heavily anticipated new energy efficiency standards for natural gas stoves. In a compromise with U.S. manufacturers, the scaled-back new rules for stoves will start in 2028 and will save consumers money on their energy bills while reducing greenhouse gas emissions and indoor air pollution.
Sounds terrible. I'm outraged.
Now, what does that mean for your kitchen? Nothing. Contrary to disinformation peddled by right-wing media and Republican politicians, the new energy efficiency standards are not a ban, they never were, and they don't affect stoves currently in use, and most stoves on the market today already meet the new standards.
Shocking.
Good news on the benefits of large solar farms. A 5-year study of utility-scale farms that are planted with wildflowers and native grasses has found that the farms are a haven for plants and insects. The study found total insect abundance tripled on the sites and increased the diversity of native insect pollinators and agriculturally beneficial insects. Butterflies, honeybees, and native bees, whose populations have been severely impacted by overuse of pesticides, showed a 20-fold increase in their numbers. Finally, some good news for breathers in the European Union. Lawmakers have reached a deal on new emission standards for heavy trucks and buses that will gradually phase out most diesel-powered engines by 2040. Heavy-duty diesel-powered trucks make up only 3% of Europe's road traffic, but generate more than 30% of its pollution. The diesel phase-out will help Europe meet its climate targets and clean up air pollution.
Well, great. So how long is it going to be before Joe Biden is coming for my dirty diesel engine? I'll check with Fox News. For much more on all of these stories and the ones we couldn't get to today, check out our website at greennews.bradblog.com. I'm Brad Friedman.
And I'm Desi Doyen.
And this has been your Green News Report.
Please help Progressive Voices support the Green News Report by stopping by bradblog.com/donate.
Mary had a little man. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream.
Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
Oh, my fault.
When it comes to the Super Bowl, where a lot of people who don't watch football all year long double the audience even of the conference championship games, part of that is the halftime entertainment.
Yes.
A huge part of it is the commercials.
Yes.
So for people all of a sudden, because they don't like something about Taylor Swift, either they don't like the Chiefs or they've inferred that Taylor Swift might not be a Trumper, then they're annoyed by Taylor Swift. I can guarantee you that all this news on Fox News would not be happening if she was wearing a MAGA hat. Yeah, they would love it. It's hard to imagine the Super Bowl could have a larger rating, but in a small percentage, it may even up that. And in terms of merchandise sales, the Travis Kelce jerseys and all the rest, and the attention to regular season games, the NFL reigns supreme not only over sports, but over all of American entertainment. In a fractionalized universe, it's the only thing that consistently aggregates huge audiences. Like 90 of the top 100 rated television shows in a given year are football games, almost all of them NFL games. And so you would think they couldn't improve on that, but now they've tapped into another demographic.
I mean, I phrase it a little differently, but he's telling you exactly what I'm telling you, and that is that we don't have shared experiences anymore. And the top 90% of our shared experiences are the NFL. I mean, this is really mad. I mean, you know, it used to be every Monday night. I wasn't alive for the original airing of the I Love Lucy show, okay? But I know about it because I'm a huge fan of that show. Always have been. In New York, if you were growing up when I was growing up in New York, it was on. I Love Lucy was on every day, all day on Channel 5. Okay, it was like all day. Like if you cut school, not that I ever did. Yeah, that's what you did. You laid in your friend's parents' bed and you watched I Love Lucy on an endless loop. Okay. But anyway, it used to air when it was first on in the early 50s, I guess. It was on Monday nights, and 66 million Americans on Monday would do the same thing. They would watch I Love Lucy on a Monday. A Monday. The finale of MASH. I mean, anybody, that knows that show remembers that finale, right? Because 100 million Americans watched that at the same time. And, and now everything is so fragmented, as he says. Everything is just you watch when you want to watch. You, don't watch commercials if you don't want to watch. I mean, Jessica, okay. This is like how ridiculously geeky Brett and I can get. The Jardiance commercial. We can't get it out of our heads because we watch regular news, which happens live. And every other commercial on regular news is for Big Pharma. That's who's paying for television now. Big Pharma. Used to be Altria. Used to be, the cigarette companies. Used to be Madge from Palmolive, right? It used to be, Wonder Bread. No, now it's one industry, just one. Big Pharma. And those Jardiance commercials are run almost every single break. Almost every single break.
The little pill with the big story to tell.
Have you noticed they changed the Jardiance girl?
Not only have I noticed, I have real problems.
Feelings.
I have critiques about
So I'm saying
the
this is how
entire,
geeky we are.
I don't love the changes. And she doesn't love herself as much as the first girl does. That first girl is just joyful, and it shows. It's infectious. This new girl...
So the old girl, people were starting to write newspaper articles about the old girl. I should know her name because I read a couple of articles about her, but I don't. She apparently was on American Idol and some other crap, right? And then she found this Jardiance commercial, auditioned for it, got it, and this thing just like blew her up. And I guess she must have asked for some pay. I guess she must have asked for some residuals. I had a girlfriend. I wish I could find her. Her name, I'll tell you her name. Her name is Katie Wright. And when I was a young DJ in New York, I was only 23 when I got my big break. I mean, how many 23-year-olds actually get to be a DJ on a rock station in New York? Almost everyone I worked with at that time was in their 40s, okay? So that's how, rare it was. And I had no friends. I didn't know anybody at the station, which is usually where you plug and play. When you move around the country like that, you do it by yourself. Whatever you can fit in your car, you put in your car, and then you move wherever the work is. But you're going someplace. You're going to a workplace. You're going to a radio station, and that's how you plug in to the community, because you have to go out into the community because the radio station's going to make you do it, right? They're going to have to host wet T-shirt contests if you work for a rock station. God knows I've hosted so many of them. I could describe like every kind of natural boob we ever had in this country, pre-implants. Okay, and so that's how you, and so when I went to New York, I mean, there was no one my age at the station, and I made friends with this girl who was a soap opera star. She was just starting out too. She was like in her early 20s, and she was on a soap opera. And then she got a commercial. She got the Army commercial. I don't know if you remember this commercial, but there was a girl, and she jumped over a fence, and she was talking about, and they would say, "How did you get so strong?" And she said, "I was in the Army." Well, the residuals from that commercial was exponentially more than she ever made working in soap operas, which is a heavy lift because you have to memorize an entire script every single day. And those things were done live. And radio was live. So we kind of bonded over that, the pressure of it. Anyway, this girl that did the Jardiance commercial, she must have been making a freaking fortune and asked them for more money. And the next thing you know, the girl in the yellow dress is gone. And now I got this girl.
Her name's Deanna Colon, by the way. And it reminds me of the world's most interesting man, because that's exactly what happened to him.
Yeah.
He asked for a little bit too much money, and all of a sudden, some dude that we're not feeling is all up in our commercials.
I'm not feeling it. Now, you're not, feeling a Jardiance commercial. You know how disgusting a culture this is? Do you have any idea, like, what we're talking about here? How low you can go as a culture? Talking about Big Pharma's choice for a spokesmodel for the second most expensive drug there is in the United States. It's Jardiance, the second most expensive.
This is my new favorite pastime. When one of these commercials come on, any Big Pharma commercial, I immediately Google how much is one pill.
How much it is.
How much is what? You will be floored.
Yeah. So anyway, some people, don't want to watch commercials, and so they're not sharing the experience of watching things live anymore, or they're only watching streaming services. And, so we're living in alternate universes. We're not living in the same culture. We're not living in the same spot. We're not living in the same place, except for not even the Grammys. People will record it. Maybe, I don't know, how many people watch the red carpet live? I'm going to guess half of the girls in this country watch the red carpet live.
Probably a lot more when Joan Rivers did it. She was awesome.
on E.
Yeah.
So, but I think people don't even watch these award shows anymore. And that used to be like such a, like we would call each other, like I would call my mom and we would talk about, this one's dress or that one's speech or this one, didn't even get nominated and they got, nobody watches it anymore. So the only shared experience we have seems to be the Super Bowl. It seems to be. And now you actually have half of the country that don't want to have anything to do with the Super Bowl because of who. Because of her. Because she doesn't wear a MAGA hat. See, they got their way, like I said with Colin Kaepernick, they got their way. They boycotted the NFL, remember? They made sure he got fired. Because Colin Kaepernick didn't have the star quality that Taylor has. Didn't have the heft, didn't have the fan base, didn't have the social media following, didn't have any of that. She does.
Clear for takeoff. Randi Rhodes. RandiRhodes.com.
The Bob Cesca Show.
Bob Cesca. The United States has the best economy in the world. We're number one. Thank you, Joe Biden. The GDP growth among the G7 nations, the United States is number one with plus 2.5% GDP growth. Second, a distant second, is Japan, plus 1.9%. Canada, 1.1%. France, 0.8%. Italy and UK, Germany. Germany is still in recessionary territory, just very, very slightly. You can directly attribute these numbers to the Joe Biden record on the economy, the competent stewardship of the economy. This is all a direct result of the bipartisan infrastructure bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, the CHIPS Act. All of these things are contributing to a booming economy, which might be why Republicans are going completely ape about Taylor Swift and the border.
I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
they're mad because she's getting people registered to vote.
Right. What was the number? She registered an enormous number of people.
35,000 people after one tweet. They all went and registered. And that's a bad thing, apparently. So that tells you everything you need to know. They don't want people voting.
Exactly. The delicious thing about the fact that the Republicans have to go, hey, well, this is all about Taylor Swift now. This is a psyop, or whatever the hell they're saying.
Yeah.
It's remarkable because they can't talk about the one thing that they thought they were going to be able to talk about this year,
Right.
which is the Biden economy. And it turns out Joe Biden's successes have stripped that away from them. So now they got to go full conspiracy theory, full fear-mongering about the border, and that's all they're left with.
Bob Cesca.
It's the Bob Cesca Show. New episodes every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, everywhere you get your podcasts, and at bobcescashow.com.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1848. That was the day the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo was signed. It signaled the end of the Mexican-American War. The war began in May of 1846 when the United States sought to expand its annexation of Texas. It immediately became a partisan issue between pro- and anti-slavery forces. Southern Democrats and slave plantation owners favored war with Mexico. They hoped to undercut rising Northern industrial power with the expansion of slave territory. Whigs and Northern abolitionists opposed the war for the same reasons. After almost 2 years of fighting, the war ended. In exchange for $15 million, the United States gained 525,000 square miles of land. This territory included all or parts of Arizona, California, Colorado, Nevada, New Mexico, Utah, and Wyoming. Mexico gave up all claims to Texas, and the Rio Grande was established as the border. The initial treaty promised protection of land, civil rights, and full citizenship for those Mexicans who stayed on the newly acquired territory. These guarantees were deleted from the final ratification. Expansionist aims reignited debates about the extension of slavery. slavery. The newly formed Free Soil Party gained traction with its campaign to limit, localize, and discourage slavery. Their banner read, "Free soil, free speech, free labor, and free men." Antagonisms were briefly tempered with the Compromise of 1850. This allowed California to be admitted as a free state. It also prevented the outlawing of slavery in the new territories. The slave trade was banned in the District of Columbia, but a new and more stringent fugitive slave law was enacted. Debates regarding expansion of slavery would rage on throughout the 1850s, culminating in the Civil War.
I watched it on TV.
All things Randy at RandyRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
All right, buy a stinker podcast. Okay. Tom in L.A.
Hey, Randy.
Hi.
First off, we the people ultimately are the government, and we must never forget that.
Right.
I think was really interesting was yesterday when you played that, the cut from Taylor Swift. She mentioned more policies in 1 minute than the politicians of today even speak about.
Yeah. Well, that's
people can say, "Oh, she's gonna vote Democrat." They don't say why. She tells you why she's gonna vote the way that she's gonna vote, and she says it's because of LGBTQ rights. It is about the women and women having the right to choose, and people talking bad about her friends. I mean, she put it right out there, and I was like, wow, you know what? She said more than any politician has.
Yeah, no, she's a very brilliant person on top of being successful, beautiful, talented.
And that's what they hate.
It is what they hate. I mean, she is a powerhouse. She is a powerhouse of, exceptional depth and breadth, not just talent-wise, but also business-wise. I mean, she's one of the smartest business people we ever. She literally changed the music industry. She literally changed the way tickets are sold. Simply because she could and she didn't like the way her fans were being treated. Now, you got to have some brains to take on, the Dark Star, which is like Clear Channel, the what do you call them? They have all these different names, but it's all the same company. It's all Clear Channel.
Well, here's what I think is pretty amazing, Randy. When you look back at history, one of my favorite shows on TV was Married with Children. Right? I loved that show. But I didn't want people to take it seriously. That being dumb was supposed to be a good thing. But what's interesting is where did Fox, that was on Fox. And then, of course, Fox took over football. And Fox, to their tribute, did a really good job with a high production value of football. And they got that regular guy, to watch the football on Fox, and then, of course, Fox News. So it's really just an unbelievable thing. And when I look at Taylor Swift, she put a kibosh on all of it.
On what? No, she didn't.
On a kibosh on the fact of other people maybe being interested in football. That Fox does not have.
I think you're obsessed with her. I do. I think you're obsessed with her because you sent me a video of her last night, didn't you?
Yes,
to my personal email, no less.
I know I did because of the fact I don't know where else to get a hold of you except for Twitter, maybe. But no, the reason why I did it was because it's called "The Man" is the name of that video. And if you watch that,
I did watch it. I didn't love it. I didn't love it. I really.
You didn't, huh?
No.
Well, that was her in the video.
I know that was her in the video.
Yeah, I just thought it was really, really great for women because it shows what men kind of get away with white privilege and white men, straight men. And
you're obsessed with her. You are. You have it bad. You have it really, really bad. I thought I was bad.
I do.
I thought I was a mega fan of certain bands and a mega fan of this is really bad. This is like I don't know. This is like masochism in this weird way. But I'll confess it to you. Don Henley, okay, Don Henley from the Eagles, right? He's the drummer, singer, songwriter, amazing. Hates me. He hates me. Okay, he had me fired. He had me fired in New York. Okay, and I worship at his foot. Okay, there's nothing he could write. There's nothing. And John Scher, who was the concert promoter, who was there the night that I got fired, and told me that Don Henley didn't want me around, and that Don Henley thought I was, I should get out of it because Don Henley doesn't like drugs, and he thinks that I'm doing cocaine in the bathroom. I mean, the whole thing, right? So years later, I run into this same promoter at a Live Earth concert where I'm invited by Melissa Etheridge to be, right, with John Bon Jovi and that whole crowd, okay? And so I'm deep in the back of the concert, okay? I'm not in the front at all. And so John Scher sees me, and he comes over to me, and he tells me, and he goes, all these years I've wanted to tell you because I still listen to you, and I know what happened between you and Don Henley, and I just wanted to tell you what happened. And he told me the story, and, I was like, oh, my God. And I still love him. I still freaking love him. So I get being obsessed, okay? But you, you really are.
I really never liked her before until this last album. and I really like the things that she actually stands for.
Well, I did too.
I think that's what made me like her more.
I like the earlier stuff. I like all the songs. I don't know if you know them that she ever wrote about. she wrote these great songs about her family. She's got this one that I keep on mentioning it, Marjorie, about her grandma and how her grandma taught her to be, polite but fierce, but don't be so fierce that you forget to be polite. Like really good, life lessons. And then she's got a whole bunch of songs about her mother. She adores her mother, and she has this one song. This one song called I think I always get the name wrong. I think it's called "A Great Day." A Great Day. You should listen to that kind of stuff because that'll show you like who she really is. This girl is from Pennsylvania, okay? She's a middle American girl with a brother who's gorgeous, too. I mean, they make beautiful kids, these Swift parents. Anyway, she loves her family. She is a Christian girl. She does things the right way when no one's looking, which is the most admirable quality I think any person could have. And
and I think that's what I love about it is that she is all that, and it drives the Republicans crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that Sean Hannity ought to have some type of reprimand because he was threatening her apparently on TV just the other day. Like, you better not do that. And it's like, who the hell do you think you are, dude?
Well, that's the only, it's the one trick they know. And the one trick they know is intimidation, right? They try to scare you. They try to intimidate you. It works for some people. It does. The bullying thing works.
Here's the last thing.
It doesn't work for people like me, and it doesn't work for her. She doesn't get scared. I don't get scared. I mean, people have threatened my life, for what, 20 years now?
Oh, I know.
So screw them.
But this is the part I don't understand, Randy. Why it is that, team sports, for some reason, they don't like team sports.
It's the only, again, I'm telling you why they're so frightened. They're frightened because it's the only time that we all do the same thing. It's the only time that Americans in humongous numbers, like more than 100 million of us, will be doing the same damn thing on a week from Sunday, okay? Like the Grammys are on this Sunday, but I can't say that 66 million or 100 million people are going to watch it. But I can tell you that 100 million plus people will watch the Super Bowl. And,
right.
And they're
they're
freaked out.
That email anymore, by the way.
Please don't send me songs. Do not. People do that all the time. It's very annoying. Everybody has their own musical Do I play you music? No, I don't. Would I if I could? Yes, I would. But since I can't, you shan't. They're afraid of her because we'll all be doing the same thing a week from Sunday, and she's not on their particular side when it comes to politics or policies. And that they can't have. They can't have somebody disagreeing with them. They don't know what to do with that except threaten that.
Randi Rhodes. RandiRhodes.com.
This is Stephanie Miller, and here's what you missed. Your tweet was fantastic. You said more than 35,000 people registered to vote after Taylor Swift posted about it. Republicans, she's a plant for the deep state and Joe Biden. Donald Trump led a coup to overthrow our democracy, is Putin's puppet, and stole multiple classified documents. Republicans, what a patriot. We are officially in the upside down, aren't we?
We absolutely are. And it's probably way more than 35,000 by now. But
right.
Yeah. Yep.
But that tells you everything you need to know about Republicans. At that time, she didn't say vote for Democrats. She just said vote. I want to get young people involved. But they are terrified.
But Stephanie, we know Republicans don't want everyone to be able to vote. God forbid they would never win another election in their lifetime. Ever.
By the way, and that's why it's such a smart political strategy. We're having trouble getting young voters and women. I know. Let's go after the most popular young woman in show business.
Great idea. I just want to get a picture of they call them Swifties, and you know how they collect bracelets?
Friendship
I'm going to be
bracelets,
like, this is what Taylor Swift fans collect, and then a picture of someone with a bunch of AR-15s and this is what Donald Trump fans collect.
Right.
There's just no comparison.
I didn't even know the millions she's given to charity, and just some of that she is just such a beacon of sort of joy and light and positivity in the world. I mean, it's like punching Bambi. I'm like, really?
That's a really good analogy. Yeah, it would be like being angry at Mother Teresa. Like Taylor Swift, what she has done with her money, she takes care of everyone on her crew, above and beyond. Yep. They were talking about the other day at one of the arenas, that she had to get up to the suite, and so everything got put on lockdown in the elevator because they needed to and she literally tipped everyone $100 because she was like, wait a minute, you guys work here. I'm so sorry for the inconvenience. She's a mensch. That's what we call her in the Jewish tradition. She's a mensch.
Yeah. Hear all this and more on the next Stephanie Miller Show.
President Trump will have a miracle second term.
He is the one that God's going to put his hands on.
God says, I'm going to flip this thing, and we haven't seen anything yet, but it's coming.
We're not crazy, they're crazy.
And justice will be served, says your God.
This is far from being over.
Nothing will stop me from my claim of putting my son, Donald Trump, back in that White House.
All of this is culminating in Donald Trump getting his second term of presidency. It has to.
I hear the sound of victory. I hear the sound of victory.
Make America great again.
That's what the Bible says.
That is spiritual warfare.
We'll take it by force.
This is war.
Let me tell you something. You ain't seen an insurrection yet.
Farming can be a deeply satisfying life. You're connected directly to nature, you are your own boss, and you do work that's real, benefiting humanity. But then there are the pests, such as invasive bugs, monopolistic profiteers, and a new, exceptionally destructive plague, billionaires. Yes, flocks of predatory ultra-billionaires wanting not just to gouge farmers, but to take away their farms. The crassest example of this land grab is happening now in Solano County, California, a bucolic agricultural area just north of San Francisco. A gaggle of narcissistic Silicon Valley tech titans with maximum bank accounts and minimal ethics has arrogantly and surreptitiously been spending nearly $1 billion in an investment hustle to buy out and pay over every farm in the county. Led by a former Wall Street huckster, literally known as Golden Boy, the Titans pose as out.
Don't give up. Don't give up. What's true?
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
All right, 33 after. Oh, hi, Aaron. Sorry, I forgot to tell you to come to me.
You know how I feel about her. I just couldn't help myself.
No, you like the Jardiance girl.
I like the Jardiance girl. I like Kate Baldwin, and I love
Kate Baldwin.
And I love me some Aaron Andrews, man.
Except it's Burnett.
Did I say Andrews?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the you got me in the football mode. That's the girl, sideline reporter, Aaron Andrews. Burnett.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which one is she?
She's the blonde, tall blonde. She's been doing it for like 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah. I still feel like, I don't know, and this is my own personal feeling. This has nothing to do with the truth of it, I don't think. but I still feel like they're condescending to her. Do you know? I do. She comes up with the best background, the best stats, the best reference to this look like that back in 1912 or whatever, and they're like,
And it's a boys' club. There's no doubt about it. And if
Right.
anybody has earned the respect of a true journalist in that field,
Yeah,
it would have been Erin
her.
Andrews by
I
now.
agree.
Exactly.
I agree.
And yet it doesn't make much of a difference. There is definitely a condescending air kind of lingering
especially
around
from Jimmy
each-
Johnson,
Jimmy Johnson,
You know
Mike
why?
Tomlin.
You know why? Because he's a little guy. He's a little guy. He's a DeSantis. You understand? I never realized how small, how tiny, how teeny, how minute Jimmy Johnson actually is until I saw him as an NFL, commentator, standing next to the tall, big, burly football players, and I realized, oh, he's a little guy.
Just a tiny guy.
Yeah. Brother David.
Lucy, Ricky's never going to let you be on the show. Why do you say that? It's true. I know, but why do you say it?
Let her roll. I just love her. I love that whole show.
she's God.
It was fabulous. It was just an amazing
It's
half hour.
outside of time. It's outside of time.
Yeah.
It's like the moon land. Or,
That didn't really happen.
well, it's another fragmented,
It's
frenetic,
a sound
forensic project.
stage at Black Rock.
And Stanley Kubrick directed it. I get it.
Right. And Joe Biden isn't the president. It's James Woods impersonating Joe Biden, or James Carey. Sometimes they say
Or Kevin Kline.
Or sometimes it's Jim Carrey. No, this is real QAnon crap. They really do think that Jim Carrey
I see. Yes. Okay.
is impersonating Joe Biden. He's in Joe Biden's, costume, and he's the one that falls up the staircase of Air Force One, and he does it 3 times because it's funny. And that's their proof that Joe Biden is not really the president. It's very
Well, it's the fragmentary thing. The clip you played half an hour ago, that he said, and that you've been saying all along. We are fragmented from the communal real. What the energy ball does.
Here's the thing. Here's what we're all groping for. We don't have a culture. Okay, we don't. We don't. We have a group of people who live to be, angry, and they're constantly, feeding their grievances. Okay, like an endless stove that requires, wood or coal or fuel of some sort, right? And these, elitists in Washington are just abusing them and keep feeding them and their grievances. And Taylor Swift is part of that grievance, so that they're all primed on a week from Sunday. They're all, and when they see her, they're going to throw things at the TV. They're going to scream and yell. They're going to argue. I mean, any peace in the land and enjoyment of the game goes out the window, right? Because they can't really make them not watch, because they will watch, because it's NFL and everybody loves it. But that's why we don't have a culture. That's why we don't.
We are fragmented and prismatic to off. The thing is that there's still more of us that get that, even if we don't get it, like Generation Z has grown up in that fragmented culture. And that's where I have to hang my hat, Randy. On the more of us that do perceive.
Gen Z is very confused also. You know why? Because Gen Z is getting their news off of social media. Gen Z thinks things like Kurt Cobain died.
Thank you.
They think Kurt Cobain died in the 70s, okay? I mean, they have no idea. They really do not understand anything about recent history, okay? And they're out there with their watermelon patches and screaming and yelling. And if you ask them about hostages, they don't know that part of it. They hadn't heard about that part. They don't know. You ask them to find this or that on a map, they can't do it. So.
I had somebody in the store in Michigan last year who was like maybe 21. What's a fascist?
Yeah, are we going to have to go through all that again? I mean, because I'm not up for it. I'm not doing it again.
You and me both, sister.
Yeah,
Still more of us. Gorgeous girdles for everyone, even if we have to sew them ourselves.
We will.
Always.
Thank you. I love you always. And honestly, when I retire, I'm still not giving up on my gorgeous girdles. You have heard him say that every single Friday when he departs, when he leaves, when he says goodbye to me. David does, right? You know what that means? I wanted to do shapewear, like F Kim Kardashian, okay, and her, Skims. Now she thinks she's Elizabeth Taylor, you know. Do you know that? She's going to play Elizabeth Taylor in a movie that she is writing, producing, starring in about Elizabeth Taylor.
Is it going to be in the box office?
Yeah, I don't know.
Really?
I don't know. I read too much. I read way too much. Sometimes I go down rabbit holes, and that was, what was waiting for me at the bottom of one of them. Kim Kardashian is going to star in.
Wrong hole.
That's what Kanye said. Shan in Chicago.
Hi, Randy.
Hey.
Oh, you mentioned it too. I had called in to say they're lying. They're all going to watch it. And you're right. They're going to throw their snit fits.
Yeah.
And they make me laugh. They're hilarious. They pick the stupidest battles. Everyone loves Taylor Swift, Republican and Democrat women, and they're stupid to just put this out there because she is loved, and all she said was to vote.
Right.
And then they have a...
Well, I mean, she said a little more. Let's not be as bad as they are. In 2020, she did endorse Joe Biden.
Right. She made the cookies.
Yes, and I believe that she will do that again. I really do.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, I do too. But listen, it's up to her. She's a very, very, very smart person. I mean, she's got a large brain, and I love people with large brains. Okay. And she is one of them. She knows when something is right. She knows when something is wrong. But she also has the wherewithal, the ability, the knowledge to fix it. That's what scares them so much, is that she's bright. She's smart.
Yeah, and that so many people love her. That scares them.
Yeah, it does. I mean, listen, I understand why they live in fear of her, but enough already. Really, enough. She earned her right to. She earned her place to be there. She earned it.
Yes.
So, too bad for them.
Randy.
Thanks, Shan.
Bye.
Bye. Sorry, everybody. Sorry. She is taking up a lot of the oxygen lately, but what I wouldn't give to be, I don't know, in my friend Joe's house in Portsmouth, Ohio, when Taylor Swift comes on the television on the Super Bowl. I'm telling you right now, they will throw their disgusting Southern Ohio version of whatever that is, egg noodles and ketchup, thinking it's pasta, at the TV, at their own television. They will actually mess up their own shag carpet in their own double wide.
Clear for takeoff.
Do you think that the people who stormed the Capitol should be held responsible to the full extent of the law?
I have concerns about the treatment of January 6 hostages.
Can I speak to Pelosi? Yeah, we're coming. Oh, my kids, we're coming for you too.
We can take that place.
An example needs to be made.
Start making a list, put all those names down, and we start hunting them down one by one.
They've got the gallows set outside this Capitol building. It's time to start using them.
There hasn't been a positive thing happen in this administration since it came about.
Now, Teddy Roosevelt had the square deal. FDR had the New Deal. Truman had the fair deal. What President Biden, Democrats, all of us have accomplished in the last few years is a big deal.
Results matter. Inflation now is down to 3.2%. Wages are up to 4.4%. The economy is booming, 5.2% GDP growth in the last quarter.
With a gallon of gas now at the lowest Thanksgiving price since 2020, prices for gasoline down 9 straight weeks.
By so many measures, the economy is in good shape. Unemployment near 50-year lows. Wages going up. The economy, it is growing. Inflation it is slowing.
Because of the CHIPS and Science Act, one of the most significant economic plans since FDR. I'm proud of the work Biden and Harris have done.
President Biden and his team worked 24/7 with partners in the region to make sure that this release was possible. This is a president who is right now showing the American people what real leadership looks like.
It's amazing how many times in his career Joe Biden has been counted out, only to come back and prove the critics wrong.
I got rid of Roe v. Wade.
Well, should the woman be punished for having an abortion?
There has to be some form of punishment. We will root out the radical left thugs that live like vermin.
You would never abuse power as retribution against anybody.
Trump wrote on social media, if you go after me, I'm coming after you.
He says, you're not going to be a dictator, are you? I said, no, other than day one. I am your retribution.
For 4 long years, Donald Trump disgraced America, laughing with mass-murdering dictators, Vladimir Putin's puppet.
You know, the people of Crimea, from what I've heard, would rather be with Russia than where they were.
The world laughed at us.
You know, Hezbollah is very smart. They're all very smart.
No more.
The people of this nation have spoken. And at this hour, my friends, democracy has prevailed.
Today, America once again leads the free world. A respected leader, steady, determined, who knows America is great because America is good.
We stand with Israel today, tomorrow, as we always have.
Under President Biden, our friends are stronger, our enemies weaker.
This is not about party or politics. This is about the security of the United States of America.
A strong economy at home, a respected America abroad. President Joe Biden, an American president.
Whether you're listening to Leslie Marshall each Tuesday through Friday or Brad Bannon each Monday, you can hear them from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern on the Progressive Voices Network. Here's a sample of what you'll hear.
Scott Paul, he's president of the Alliance for American Manufacturing.
While it may have been not a great year for manufacturing jobs, it was a boom year for the construction of new manufacturing facilities, factories, happening all over the country. And, in clean energy, like solar, in new automobiles, like EVs, battery factories, in semiconductors.
Fatality. This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Bias Thinking Podcast.
Tonight, rigged for Trump. It's the loaded word, obviously, but it is the accusation against the Republican Party in Nevada, which is running a caucus next week, with Trump as the only major candidate actually, you're allowed to vote for. Well, that's odd, right? Nikki Haley's in the race. And to add to the confusion, the state then is running a separate primary election where Nikki Haley is running, but it actually doesn't matter because the only thing that matters is the caucus, because the candidate that wins the caucus, where Trump's the only one on the ballot, gets the 26 delegates. The primary winner gets nothing.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, honestly, the man who has been, screaming and yelling for, I don't know, how many years now? 4? That the election of 2020 was rigged, has rigged the election in Nevada. So that if you vote in a primary, you get your ballot by mail, right? His name is not on, you can't vote. And it doesn't matter because there are no delegates that will be awarded by virtue of the primary ballot, okay? The caucus, on the other hand, is going to award all the delegates in Nevada, and there's 26 to be awarded. You have to get to a total of, I always forget, what is it, 21 something, 2,100 something, and the Democrats, it's like 1,900 and something. It's, and all these primaries, they're awarding delegates piece by piece, state by state, and so on. And then whoever gets the number required for the party that they're running to be the nominee for, whoever gets the required number of delegates is the nominee, right? So he's rigging Nevada so that the caucus is the place that awards the delegates, all of them, 26 of them, and you can only vote for Donald Trump in the caucus, or like I said, some backwater pastor. That's it. Now, if that's not rigged, I don't know what rigged looks like to you, but for a guy who's ultra sensitive about elections not being on the up and up and not being fair, this is the most unfair thing I've ever seen in my life. This is such a rigged system that he concocted. Here's everything you need to know about the Nevada caucus, okay?
In Nevada's primary, Republican voters are finding there's something missing. Donald Trump.
This is very much like the ballot you just turned in, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And what do you notice about this ballot?
The person I wanted to vote for wasn't on this ballot.
So do a lot of people understand what's happening this time in Nevada?
I don't think so. I didn't.
Donald J. Trump!
At his Nevada rally, former President Donald Trump said, no need for concern, just go to the caucuses.
Do the caucus, not the primary.
Oh, my
God. The primary is meaningless.
Nevada passed a law in 2021 that switched from caucuses to a primary system that Trump didn't want to run in. So now Trump is participating in the party-run Nevada caucuses on February 8th. Nikki Haley is running in the state-run primary 2 days earlier. Outside of this Trump rally, his voters were still trying to make sense of the dual system.
In Nevada, I think it's going to confuse a lot of people.
Only the results of the caucuses award delegates towards nominating the Republican presidential candidate. The state party sets that rule. It's why Trump's campaign is pushing the caucuses. If you're lost, you wouldn't be the only one.
So sick. Because they have no ideas that people like. They have no, platform. I'm not making that up. They really have no platform. Nothing they stand for in writing. Nothing at all. It's whatever Donald Trump decides he's for today. That's what they're for today. That's it. That's it. If he's screaming about immigration, but there's an immigration bill that he's against, well, then there is no immigration solved. There's no solution to the immigration because he wants the issue. This is so bizarre. And now they rigged an election in Nevada. Literally rigged one. The law changed. The law in Nevada is that you will pick your primary candidate. You will pick the nominee from your party that you would like to win the nomination, to get the delegates in Nevada towards winning the nomination by a primary. Donald Trump didn't want to run in the legally mandated primary, so he just said, no, I'm not going to run, but I need a way to get the delegates. And so he made a backroom deal. Talk about the deep state. He made a backroom deal with the Republican Party of Nevada to hold a caucus and award their delegates to only him because he's the only one in the caucus. So psycho. Obvious. Anyway, and there's one other thing I need to tell you before I go back to the phone. Tomorrow, South Carolina, you vote. Democrats in South Carolina, I don't know why. It's a Saturday. Maybe somebody, in South Carolina can fill me in. But tomorrow is Saturday, and tomorrow is the Democratic primary in South Carolina. Now, you had early voting, but tomorrow is the election day for you to pick your Democratic candidate for the delegates in South Carolina. Now, Marianne Williamson is on the ballot there, and Dean Phillips, the David Duchovny guy with the bigger nose, he's on the ballot too. But Joe Biden should actually, run away with this. But only 30% of Democrats in South Carolina will vote tomorrow in this primary. A, they don't know about it. B, it's the base of our party. And like I always tell you, you're always going to have that 30%. You're always going to have that 30%. And that 30% could be good or bad, but it's the people that are the most active in the party. So tomorrow is the official election day for the Democrats. The official Republican primary in South Carolina isn't until the 24th of February, I think. And that's the one that Nikki Haley is going to lose, okay, with the other ones that she lost. She lost Iowa. She lost New Hampshire. Her entire way of validating her continuation in the primary is the definition of happiness. What do I mean by that? So she's saying it's not about winning. It's about making progress, right? And so she's like, look, in Iowa, we only got, I don't know, I'm going to make up numbers. You can look it up, but it's a tiny fraction. Like in Iowa, maybe she got 6% of the vote. And then in New Hampshire, she got 20% of the vote or 22% of the vote. And now she's saying that even though she's going to lose her own home state of South Carolina, where she won statewide and was their governor, she's saying it's not about winning her home state. It's about improving on the percentage that she got in New Hampshire as she improved on the percentage that she got in Iowa. Now, Democrats are thrilled, just so you know, with Nikki Haley right now, because she is saying out loud as a Republican that Donald Trump is an agent of chaos and that rightly or wrongly, wherever he goes, chaos follows. Now she's saying that he's got dementia. She's saying he's not the same Donald Trump that she knew 2 years ago. She's saying he's confused. She's saying, you know. And I find it so interesting that the Republicans really do hate honest, strong, attractive women. You know, I mean, this is what scares them the most. Nikki Haley is one of those. She is an honest, strong, good-looking woman. E. Jean Carroll, 80 years old. We all hope we look like that when we're 80 years old. Amazing. And went out there and grabbed Donald Trump right by the wallet. Grabbed him. We have a little cartoon file that we run in the breaks for the YouTube people. And there's one where she's standing in front of Trump Tower, but it's no longer called Trump Tower. It's now called E. Jean Carroll Tower. Don't you love it? Strong, smart, brave women. Taylor Swift, same thing. Just can't stand them. They find them threatening. And so they must take away our ability to function. All right, Xavier in L.A.
Xavier. Just call me X.
Okay.
How you doing, Randy?
Fine.
Happy belated birthday.
Oh, thank you very much.
And California, liberal California, or it's a win-win situation here. Liberal California or Kansas, Taylor Swift. It's a win-win. Who are you going for?
Well, here's another strong woman that they hate, Nancy Pelosi, right? So either Taylor Swift's team wins or Nancy Pelosi's team wins.
Who you going with? You have to pick one.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, I don't care.
No. You have to.
No, I don't.
No, I don't. Pick one.
No.
All right, bye.
Bye. I think we just bombed Iraq and Syria. I think we did. Uh-oh. Show's over. See you on Monday.
Clear for takeoff. Randi Rhodes. Randi Rhodes. Randi Rhodes. RandiRhodes.com.
911, what's your emergency?
America's healthcare system is broken, and people are dying.
Welcome to Code WAC, where we shine a light on America's callous healthcare system, how it hurts us, and what we can do about it. I'm your host, Brenda Gazar. This time on Code Whack, more than 3,000 people died of drug overdoses in Los Angeles County alone in 2022. And last October, Hollywood actor Matthew Perry of Friends fame became one of the latest overdose victims when he accidentally died of acute effects of ketamine at his Los Angeles home. Perry's story reminds us that no one is immune to drug overdoses. But who is most vulnerable in LA County, and what can be done about it? To find out, we spoke to Nyabingi Kuti, director of the LA Harm Reduction Network, which aims to expand and enhance access to substance use disorder treatment for LA County and especially Skid Row.
So you've said in the past that Black residents on Skid Row are facing a humanitarian crisis related to substance use disorder. What are you seeing and hearing from these residents?
Well, what I'm hearing is a lack of residential beds there and the issue of quality of treatment that I mentioned. Many people that have died from overdoses have been in treatment multiple times. You know, if you listen to people like Perry and other celebrities that have overdosed and died, they've been in treatment before. And sometimes over 10 times. So that makes you wonder, well, why isn't treatment working?
Get the full Code Wax story on progressivevoices.com and on the PV app. Catch all our episodes by subscribing to Code Whack wherever you find your podcasts. This podcast is powered by Heal California, a nonprofit that uplifts the voices of those fighting for healthcare reform around the country. Until next time, stay healthy.
Now, the top of the hour on the Progressive Voices channel on TuneIn presents the Green News Report.
Aramco, the largest oil company in the world, will cut its planned maximum sustainable oil production capacity.
Saudi Arabia ditches plans to expand oil production. Millions